they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs at
Yes, everybody. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. Happy Friday. We've done another week, and what a bloody week we've had. We've had worse weeks. Let's be honest, haven't we? We've had worse weeks as West Ham fans, or as humans, or individuals. But to finish the week off, Conference League champions, our first European titles in 1965, our first proper cup since 1980. We're going to be champion. We're going to be in the Europa League next year. We're top seeds in pot 1 as well. That's been confirmed as a result of winning the Conference League. We go into the group stages automatically, but we'll be in the pot 1 and we'll be top seeds. Top of the pile, you better believe it. You better believe it. And obviously, yesterday with the parade and tens of thousands of West Ham fans, lining the streets all the way from Upton Park all the way down to the Old Town Hall in Stratford. So busy. They didn't anticipate so many people were going to turn up. There were people fainting. There was swearing on the BBC from Declan Rice, which I thought was hilarious, and they had to get to apologising for everything. Oh dear! It didn't help when you saw I don't know if you saw the buses coming through. At the front, the driver's driving. He's got about 12 cases of Heineken next to him. And as the players were coming up the stairs, there were people behind him carrying up crates with Heineken. Oh, dear. It reminds me of a story. I've told this before about Martin Allen, about Mad Dog. And when we interviewed him pitchside once back at the Old Girl. And this was Jeremy did it. And he said, and Martin, I love Mad Dog. He's so funny. And, obviously he enjoyed a bit of the pre-match festivities, we'll say that. And I think it was half time. Thomas Hitzelsberger had just scored a goal. And he said, he went, Jeremy, so Martin, Thomas, obviously fans chanting him, great goal from Thomas. And he took the mic and went, yeah, it's quite funny because last time a German turned up to East London, he bummed the place. And from then on, we've never had Martin Allen on the channel. On the not the channel, on the channel, he's brilliant. Martin will phone me up before he comes on. He goes, "Do you want Martin or do you want Mad Dog today?" He'll be, he's got his sort of his split personality. He can switch on and switch off, but we don't have him pitch side anymore now. And obviously guaranteed 6 games in the Europa League as well next year. 3 home games. DJ Tony Perry's got 3 more gigs, isn't he? He's got 3 more gigs. And obviously the draw for the group stages will be on the 1st of September, and us going in as top seeds. Also, our 3rd time in Europe in successive seasons. First time ever in our history we've done that, which is amazing. And also, just a mighty card, Premier League fixtures are out next week. And we fuck off to Australia in a month's time. What is going? We haven't got time to do anything. That's why today, apparently, according to reports in the Daily Mail and Telegraph, I believe, that Moyes is having crunch talks about his future today, which needs to happen. Because we are already 2 or 3 weeks behind everyone else. The likes of Aston Villa, the likes of Brighton there. I mean, Liverpool doing business already, obviously buying Alexis McAllister from Brighton for, a fair whack of money. There's teams already doing stuff, Spurs, you're going to have Postologlu's going to be, trying to get some stuff going. You're going to get Pochettino at Chelsea. And, so we need this sorted. If Moyes is staying, okay, right, let's move forward and let's crack on, because the trouble is, what happened last year? Last year, we bought a lot of good players. It took them ages to embed. We bought them quite late in the transfer window. Didn't have any pre-season. Look at someone like Skamaka. What would have been different if we'd maybe had Skamaka in at the beginning of the transfer window and he'd have a whole pre-season to sort of embed himself and help embed this new style of football they were looking to play. And it didn't work, and we had to go back to the old school, so to speak. Old school being 3 years ago. And same with Declan Rice. I know there's been... And I did a piece yesterday, and I got a few pelts for it, but it's like, and it's not. And again, I've got to preface this: it's not because I'm a West Ham. I sort of work for the club at all. And actually, I've had conversations with people who also work at the club, and I'm more positive about this. Not more positive, but see the situation differently towards them as well. In that it's got to be sorted. The right stuff's got to be sorted. And I know Sully's comments may seem a bit ill-timed, but we need that sorted. We need Declan Rice's situation sorted. We need to get to a point where we know what's happening. If he's staying, great. Draw a line, reject all offers, crack on. But that's not going to happen. We know it's realistically not going to happen. So Sully was saying, we expected bids to come in from today, as in yesterday. So did I, because we need the bids in, because we need this sorted and we need the money redistributed. And Hammer's headlines today, we're going to talk about three players that we are what's the word three players that we are linked with as our top transfer targets by all accounts, according to X and various other sources. Looks like it's Harvey Barnes from Leicester. It looks like it's Edson Alvarez from Ajax, who is mustard. He is someone, if we got in, would be brilliant. And Jonathan Tah as well from by Leverkusen. And that's, I think, the thing we didn't necessarily think about when we got to the situation of winning the Europa Conference. Thinking of, if we're competing with Spurs now for players, they've got no European football. If we're competing with Aston Villa, for example, we're in a European competition, one up from them. So it's we're in a sort of the upper echelons. We shouldn't be competing for players with the likes of Everton, for example, or Crystal Palace. We should be competing with players, Aston Villa, Spurs, Liverpool. That's our sort of our sort of level we should be reaching at. Right, let's be sort of wobbling. Let's go and have a look at some comments. Neil, he won't, but be the best way to leave. The reports, I said, the reports state, and we've mentioned this before from the sources we've been given and the information, that regardless of what happened yet on Wednesday, Moyes was going to go, and he was possibly going to retire or resign, because he thinks that's it. Leave it a high. What they say, live long enough to be a hero, but not long enough to be a villain, or whatever that expression is. And that's what we were led to be believed. Then we heard different conflicting reports saying he's staying regardless of what division we're in, what we're going to do. Then we had reports the other day of he's going if we don't win. And so we don't know, but it needs to be sorted. There's a big rebuild job needed, not only from Declan Rice, but the fact is there's decisions need to be made. I know Cresswell looks like he's been offered a new deal. No official announcement on sort of the official site on that. And then you've got Ogbonna, you've got Soufal, you've got option on, you've got Fabianski an option on. You've got players who maybe want to leave if Moyes stays in charge. The likes of Skamaka potentially. Although if you saw the way they were together at the end of the Conference League final, I know euphoria because they won something, but still they had a very nice relationship. It wasn't frosty at all. Areola may be looking to move on because he's not getting the first team football he requires in order to get into the French, being number one to the French national side after Lloris internationally retires. There's all these, Lanzini's off, and you've got people like Connor Coventry still around. You've got the pathway for the under 18s as well. There's so many decisions need to be made, so many, and they need to be made now. They do. And it's horrible to think of that. People thinking, give us the time to celebrate. In football, modern football, you do not have time to celebrate. It's 100 miles an hour. It's right. Okay, game's finished, next game. Game's finished, next game. Season's finished, what are we doing next? And if you take your time and if you're slow, you'll lose ground and everyone else behind you. And that's the truth of the matter. Feeling so united with the players right now, more so than ever. I want to lose as few as possible from the coaching team and players. No, I know what you mean, Neil. There does seem to be a hell of a great bond between the players and the fans. And Tino Kehrer, he's like in the heart of everything, isn't he? He's a huge dressing room presence. If you watch any of the videos or anything like that, when Chris handed him the mic, I wasn't expecting Tino Kehrer to take the mic. But fair play to him. If he does, he might get the Celtic job. That's what they're saying. It's basically potentially him or Brendan Rodgers. I think they're probably going for Moyes because actually the lad's got a European trophy under his belt now, isn't it? And Brendan did well at Celtic, but didn't do so well necessarily. He won the FA Cup at Leicester, I suppose. But you don't tend to go back. Don't tend to go back on an X, really, do you? And I think Moyes did, to be honest, and look what's happened there. It's probably the best way to go. How rare is it to go like this? I totally agree, Stephen. It's going out on a high. I mean, in essence, that's what's going to happen to Declan Rice as well, to be honest, isn't it? If he leaves, going out on a high, being one of only three West Ham captains ever to lift a significant trophy, that being obviously Bobby Moore and Billy Bonds, and then Declan Rice. Mental. Afternoon, Steve. Hope you are well, my friend. Joe, here he is. Anvil's in the Anvil, no, Virgil. Talking about somebody else. How are you, well, John? Nice to see you, man. Great. See, this is what I like about this, about what's happened. You know, and I said before, 1980, 65, we weren't around to see. You know, there was no video. I said when we won the Inter Cup, we didn't have any sort of coverage, not loads, a few grainy photos. Mets didn't give a shit because we'd lost in terms of any sort of production there. With this, we have got this categorized for life. We've got it on YouTube. We've got it on your phones. You've got it on social media. You've got it on Twitter. You've got pictures of John and his his son. You know, the Black Lion. You got pictures of Nigel. Videos of Nigel Khan crying, for God's sake. You got Nick. You know, you got Gary coming back from Prague. You know, we've got Holly. We're just putting up a video later on. Holly's out there talking with Graham and Nees and Upper Brown, and you know, all this type of stuff we now have categorized now. This historic event, and that's massive. That's massive. Irons indeed. Hi, Toby. Hope you're well. Good afternoon. We're going to the third European tour. Absolutely massive. If Moyes stays, Scammon will leave. Yep, I totally agree. Divine has more than Harry Kane. Pat-Man. Yeah, seems he's so in the crowd. Him and Kira on the mic. Indeed. If you want to book time off work, European. Yeah, indeed. I said 1st of September is the draw. The final will be played in Dublin. Or could you imagine a Liverpool West Ham Europa League final in Dublin? Oh, it would go off, wouldn't it? Or if you know, if we don't have such a great European tour in Europa League, conference final is in Athens next year. So lovely. I'm sure he's thinking about would they want him? Apparently they play great football and he would hold them back. Wouldn't mind Rice going to Arsenal or United. Would players want to play under Moyes though? I mean, you saw the way to be honest, it surprised me actually the way I know he'd had a few beers but Moyes was in the middle of everything. So we'll see. I think I'll actually go to Celtic. His one up front is the reason we struggle this season, unfortunately. Though I'm grateful. Just thinking new manager, what we need. Do you know, Eddie? It's one of those things, isn't it? We've never as a club, this is not in recent times or previously, got to a situation where we've had success and built on that success successfully. You look back, 85, 86, almost went down the season after. We didn't progress. 80, we went up. Almost went down the following. Yeah, so when we've had these sort of purple patches, it's the investment, but it's the investment at the right time. The investment last year, if we'd bought all those 8 players in the first 2 weeks of the transfer window, we wouldn't have had the Premier League season we did. And the fact is, we've won more games in Europe than we did in the Premier League, which is ridiculous. Not won a trophy for a couple of days, very poor. I know. Moyes out. If he resigns, he loses a year's cash. I doubt that. It's but it depends about the sign-on fee for Celtic, and we'll see if that's a dream job he wants, then would he offset that? I can imagine so. It'll be interesting for a few weeks, won't it? We start pre-seasoning like we do indeed. And obviously, it's Pablo Fornas's wedding today as well. What a week he's in. Can't see him leaving now after what he said. And now he is the first. Looks like they'll stay after the trophy. I think Rice will be the only one leaving. I think you'll see a couple more leaving. I think the euphoria of everything will drop down a little bit, and then you'll start. I can see the likes of McCann Antonio going. There's obviously been a huge rift after that podcast, and he's been fined. And there was talk of him not even playing on Wednesday. That's how bad the team felt in terms of his actions. So obviously there was some reconciliation there, so. I think you'll see a few go. I think you will see a few go. We need to freshen it up as well. I think Tar be a great sign. I mean, he's a unit, and you think someone like Ogbonna goes, Tar would be a ready-made replacement. Big lump. He's 27, so he's in his peak. He's got another 5-6 years really at the top. He was in the Europa League team of the season alongside Chris Smalling, and so he can compete. He can play at that stage. I think Leverkusen qualified already, so for the Europa League. So I could see, and apparently, I don't know why I'm telling you now, so you don't watch the show at 5 o'clock. But he does have a release clause in his contract, which is 18 million euros, which is mental. And why no one has activated that does surprise me. Impressive Kira, indeed. Very likable. Decent education behind him. You're totally right. Harrogate Hammer, hope you're well. Who do we give the captain's job if Rice goes? Great idea. That's a great question. Who, shall we do a poll? Let's do a poll. That'd be an interesting poll. Can I do it here? Yes, I think I can. Let me do a quick poll. Let me just mute myself on YouTube so I don't sort of get like double whammy. Right, where's my chat? Okay, that's a good great shout. Let's get something in the chat. Start a poll. Who is our skipper next year? I'm going to put Rice in there anyway. I'm going to put a few suggestions. I'm going to put Rice. I'm going to put him in there. I'm going to put Cresswell. I'm going to put in a few others, and you can. I think there's a few options in there. I'll put other. There we go. So I think I know it's going to be again, Chris. We'll come back to that. Have a you can put the stuff in there and have a look. Afternoon, Stuart Surrey. Hope you're well. Love you too, Artel. Nice. Where's 4 hours? He seems to have disappeared yesterday. He's getting married. He's getting married, mate. Getting married. Naval Brainer manager getting married indeed. I think we could get 2 good seasons at SWP. I think SWP comes in with another. I think if we spent the money, say 100 million pounds. Say you spend 30. Say we'll do top end. Less than 40 million. Say we pay 40 million for Harvey Barnes. Say we pay 30 million for Alaves from Ajax. Then you've got. I mean, Jonathan Tarr 15 grand. I mean, you'll have extra money anyway. But say that's 70 million. They want 50 million for JWP. They won't get it. If you could get him for 30, 35, I think them 3. Here's what I found. Shut up! Will be hell of a replacement. You're not experienced. He's done his badges at the end. Says Michael. Hope all is well. If he leaves, I'll happily hug him goodbye. Very nice. Right, let's go through a few of these. Has anyone come down yet and realised? No. In fact, we've got Anton doing a. He's actually on the way back from London. He went down with Freddie yesterday morning, and he's gone back up and he's done a little piece outside the stadium, and we'll put that up a bit later on. Ted Lasso is available. I think there's gonna be another series. Hope so. Anyone who hasn't seen it, get on it. Honestly, it's brilliant. It's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Even Mrs. Budden liked it. Yet Callum Marshall he's been called up to the Northern Ireland full national side, which is fantastic. And also Patrick Kelly, I believe, he's on the reserve list for that. Callum Marshall is going to be someone who scores goals, whatever. If you put him in the side, he'll score goals. He's brilliant. I believe Emerson will be a great captain, maybe. Let's go for everyone. There's loads of comments I'm trying to go through. I think Cresswell will not get a lot of game time next season. I don't think so. Considering you had Emerson went in at left back instead of Cresswell for the final, you think he would have gone with his generals. You think Cresswell would have probably in. So obviously didn't fancy Crest there. So we'll see. Side Benram indeed. Hungover, still in disbelief afternoon Greeno. Hope you are well. Have seen better weeks. I'm still looking for Fiorentina fans, but they all seem to be going hiding. Loads of fans still in Prague. Martin's still over there. John Tomsky still. Don't know if you watched the BBC coverage of the thing. John was dialing in live from Prague. I was meant to be BBC did me wrong in there. I was meant to be on the BBC. Button on the BBC, and then they pulled me with like half an hour to go, and I was like, well, I can't get to the ground there. I can't get to the fucking thingamajig anyway now. Thanks. We've down Suchek commentary, plus I doubt we will look to replace. I think we will, Paul. I think we need to, mate. I think we will too. I think we will be replacing him. I think there's commentary will go. Commentary hasn't got a future here. 4 hours. Downs. I mean, Potts is the one. I think you see Potts and Divine, as I said, and I'll just name drop. When I was in Dubai and I bumped into Steve Potts, we were talking about Freddie, we were talking about Divine, and just talking about the youth team in general. And we're going to get Steve on. He's back. We are going to get Steve on. We'll probably do a live one because he doesn't really do the internet thing, but we'll get him on to do an interview. We'll talk a lot about the youth team because I think he epitomises that. Obviously, part of the setup. We had Mike Robertson on last week. the week before last. And we've got some really good guests lined up over the summer as well, so keep an eye on that. But he was saying, it's now how they get to the next level. And I think if you get one or two who then progress into the first team consistently, then that's, you're never going to get 5 or 6. You're going to get 1 or 2. And, at the moment we've got 2. Realistically, we've got, not, I'll say 2.5, because Divine is just on the peripherals, isn't he, in the squad? But you've got Ben Johnson, who may well leave in the summer for Everton, and then Declan Rice. Then you've got maybe coming through Potsy. You've got Divine as well. Then you've got the likes of the ones beneath them coming through. So you've got the likes of someone like Ollie Scars. You've got Callum Marshall. You've got Patrick Kelly. I think needs to bulk up a little bit before he breaks in. Casey, again, needs to bulk up a little bit, I think. But the guys are there. The guys are there. Chesney Hawks was great in the fan zone. Yeah, he's been... I'm going to keep my Chesney Hawks story about him in the fan zone for my memoirs when I retire. But very funny. Fiorentina president slagging off West Ham, calling us animals. Only a small minority, I think. Indeed, no, they did let us down. They did let the side down. You didn't need to start throwing things, regardless. Jay, also a good corner taker, not just he's a free kick. Indeed, do like their wine, but they seem to be using a lot of sour grapes. Very good. Italian wine is useless anyway, turns to beer after 6 months. Yeah, I was in Dubai talking to Steve Potts, who the other half live. Yes. Yeah. And actually, I was in the same hotel, obviously. And then I was talking to this bloke. So I had like my West Ham, because obviously I walk around in West Ham top, like literally just like tattooed on me. And we were chatting and talking about football. And he was like, "Yeah, you got the cup. Yeah, I've got Prague and da da da." And he goes, "Oh, I've just come back from we had our playoff, to get into." It turned out he was a Sheffield Wednesday player, Lee Gregory. And so we spoke all the time. Spoke for a long time about the that 4-4 game or the comeback. Lovely bloke. Once a hammer, always a hammer. Nicely ginger pellet there. It was indeed. And honestly, get on Bish's Twitter. He's redoing it again now. It's been brilliant. His Twitter is brilliant, and obviously he's now in Istanbul. He's had a head of a week as well. So he's like teams like Bournemouth have stayed. His old club Bournemouth stayed up. Obviously we stayed up. West Ham won the Europa Conference League, and now he's going to Istanbul, and hopefully City lift the Champions League as well. He's had a head of a week. We need to look at our midfielders who can play with Paquette and Skamaka. Souček and Rice and gone. Antonio is gone. Don't think Souček's gone. I think Antonio and Rice will be. Russ, what do you think about the punishment will be ref the object? I believe they will punish us because we're English. Ralph, so for example, just to give you an idea of how harshly we were punished, we got fined 20,000, 25,000 for throwing a sandwich at the goalkeeper, the AEK Larnaca goalkeeper. So you can imagine that the levels were going to be. We may well have a behind closed door, or away fans can't travel for one game next season, possibly, and that's the reality of it. By all accounts, Skarmak is gone. He won't leave. He won't leave coming off that injury. I think if Skarmaka goes, I can't see him going until January at least, because as you said, it's a lot of money, and he's coming back from a knee injury, and he was training. It was touch and go. He could have been in the squad for Wednesday potentially if he carried on the trajectory it was coming, but I think they thought it's not worth it. We'll give Divine the nod just in case we need him. With so many players leaving, potentially we'll struggle. We'll struggle again. Maybe we will. I'll tell if we don't get moving. We need to start getting moving now. He'll be good in January. Yeah, I agree. If he's not getting game time, he will be. Hopefully not. But someone posted elsewhere that deal is done with Juve. Well, I suppose it's a merry-go-round, isn't it? And that's with all Serie A clubs usually. One player goes, and it's the merry-go-round effect. So I don't think I would be surprised if he goes in the summer. I think if he goes, he'll go. I can see him going in January, just because people don't want to take a risk. It's a hell of a calculated risk, but you never know. When will we know that Moyes' crunch talks? Well, apparently, according to the reports, it is today. They're doing the end of season review as they always do, and they're discussing talks today, and we'll see. It's today. I'm guessing decision maybe later today, no, next week. would have to be because you then need to interview and get new managers in. If we haven't got someone lined up already, by all accounts, we may well have someone lined up already with intermediary discussions already taking place. We don't know. That's the information we've heard, but it would have to be a bloody quick appointment because this guy's got to go in with his transfer targets. If they're getting a director of football in as well, that's discussion needs to be done, and then we'll see what happens. I'd rather see Schumacher here next season than Moyes. Razor, hope you're well, mate. Nice to see you. They haven't announced any punishment. Should lose, get done after 22. Of course they won't. Because it was outside the stadium. Schumacher won't ever score 20 goals in the Prem. Ooh, I don't know. Don't forget we will lose 3 or 4 for the opening games for Europe. They said they'll ban the boys for protecting their families. Yeah, well, yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. Again, we don't know what's happening with that, do we? Moyes is going to be here next season. Well, Celtic by accounts. That would be an obvious one. I mean, for me, I again, it's like we can talk on our ivory tower, so to speak, but is a hell of a way to leave a club, wouldn't it? But in the same way, it's hell of a all it's going to take is a couple of weeks of poor results and poor performances, and also it depends who we get drawn against in the first few sides in the Premier League. If you have an easy run in and say get a couple of good wins on the bounce because we're playing maybe lesser teams or teams who are in transition, then things look rosy. I mean, if we'd spent the season sort of like not a few wins, a few losses, and then we finished like 13th, and people have gone, "Oh, fair enough." We needed a but it's because it was so bad, so bad that it was a horrific. Let's be honest. During midway through the season, it was awful. The fan, in terms of the split in the fan base, splitting, and actually, I think the last week, the fan base is more together than ever. Regardless of what side of the fence you are in terms of the Moyes camp, we've won something, and we can't take that away from him. And he will go down in West Ham history as John Lyle, Ron Greenwood, him. It will be because they've all won in terms of winning managers. Not Billy Bonds, not Slav, not Harry Redknapp. Obviously Pard's got us to a final of the FA Cup, but obviously we didn't win it. So yeah. Scumbag for Abrahams. Isn't Abrahams injured? Hasn't he had a massive ACL? Yeah, it's a ACL injury, so I can't see it happening. Wasn't vegan friendly. Playing for Schumacher. That's what we all would love to see. Russ, we spent 200. How big will our war chest be? I suppose I reckon at least 50, if not 75% of it is going to be Declan Rice. Don't think we'll have 200 million. We'll have Declan Rice money plus some money. Obviously, naturally, we have lots of. We've got guaranteed money for Europa League next year because we go in the group stages at 6 games. I think for qualifying for the group stages, I think by the end it's about 30 million without any extras for obviously extra gate revenue, extra for winning, for qualifying out the group stages. If we finish 3rd in that group, so we have a really shit Europa League, which we might do, we'll drop into the Europa Conference playoffs. So as long as you don't lose, as long as you're not last in that game, in that season, in that table, you'll be all right. Won't happen. He's out for 8 months. Bring back Avon Grant. Deserves another crack at Europa football. Russ, what a night. Lost my voice. Just got back. Fantastic. I saw that Man United last game. Last time I saw that was Man United last game at Upton Park, indeed. The core of this team want to stay. They love the support. Premier League Football Cup football together is much more for Moyes to focus on at once. I think Schumacher's a good player, but 20 goals is a pinnacle. What 3 to 4 hit? Yeah, Antonio. I think this year was his best goal return for West Ham. I think it's 14 goals, 15 goals this season. That's his best ever. Mo, hope you're well. Nice to see you. Nice to see you on here. Whatever we do, manager-wise, it needs to happen next week. Right, while we're all here, let me do a quick. So, anyone who's a channel member, let me do this now. Let me do it there rather than forget. Anyone who's a channel member gets automatically entered into our monthly draws. to win some signed memorabilia. Today, we have got another West Ham signed shirt. The signed shirt from the Europa Conference League 2022-23 winners. So let's see who's going to win that. Let's bring that on the thing. So all of our channel members, they're already in there, and we'll keep that going while I talk away. So, and if you want to become a channel member and you get into next month we will have another shirt, I think, or at least a signed football next month. So make sure you enter that. We may well do another one this month as well, for a signed West Ham football from the Europa Conference League winners. Let's see, is it slowing down? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Not Peter Jones, not Wally, not Jan, not Gavin, not Owen. GP, Papa Fur. I think it's going to be Narky. Papa Fur. Oh my God. Well done, Narky. Congratulations, Narky. You've won a West Ham signed shirt from the Europa Conference League winners. So if you send us an email at westhamnetwork@gmail.com, we can get that sent out to you straight away. As I said, if you want to be involved, if you want to be involved in the next month, we may well do a mid-month one if we get loads of members coming through this week and next week for a signed West Ham football. All you got to do is hit the join button and you get entered into the competition. Lots of extra content you get as well, and you automatically get entered into a prize draw every month. So it's a bit like a raffle ticket. That's it. Anyway, let's move forward. Did you see his emotions at the final whistle? Give the man a testimonial. Not going to happen, unfortunately. It's too expensive. It's just because we don't own our ground. So unless Chris is going to foot the bill, I don't think we'll have one, unfortunately, unless something randomly happens. What we got here? Russ with you at the parade. I got my Navy. Got signed by Anta Fernand. You're the guy in the back of the second, but well done, Mo. Nice to see. Who's leading the chat with Moyes, Sully or Kradinsky? Probably Sully. Last time West Ham won a European, Inter won the UEFA. Wow, that's cool. Rumour has it that it could be another big spend, but it needs to start Monday, not Saturday. As I said, I reckon 152 million. I reckon 2 million might be too much. 150 million is still a big spend, isn't it? So we'll see. Ings plays well with Emerson, Paqueta, tiki-taki. I was surprised that particularly that last game, that Leeds game when he came on, that's probably the best cameo I've seen from Ings all season. And he's really good. Really, really good. What have we got? What do you think of the way Antonio has been talking to the pods recently? Yeah, well, I gave you my thoughts about a week or so ago live from Dubai. What I thought about that, to be honest. It's apparently it was very, very poor in terms of timing, which the club weren't aware of. Similar to the Stephen Bartlett interview with David Moyes, from the guy from Dragon's Den. It was done during like pre-World Cup or during the World Cup break, and it came out literally when his stock was possibly lowest it'll ever be. But that's just the nature of social media, really. VAR check indeed. Well, I'm marking. I see offside. How's it a fix? If it was fixed, if it was like Russ Budden, no. To be fair, most quotes by Sullivan are clips used to wind people up. Totally right. Can't find the join button. Here's a join button. Well, let me put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat instead. Right. So let me just. Where is it? Where is it? 2 secs. I'll find it and then I'll put it in the chat. And if you want to become a channel member, all you have to do is hit that button or that link. Where are you? Let me figure this out. Invite to, there you go. I'll put it in the chat. If you want to join, it's a couple of quid a month, and it helps the channel out that way as well. Obviously, we have Holly on the channel now, so there's 3 of us. Plus, we've got some really good guests coming up. Antonio needs to go. Too much of an influence. I agree. Well done, Papa. Wants a VAR check indeed. Sticky, good question. I don't like it. He can say what he wants, but he doesn't look good. I don't like the fact of him doing that stuff. I don't like the fact of like the Footballers Football podcast. Like during the season, it just. No, and they don't need to do that. They're rich enough as ready, they don't need to do that type of thing. And something I think just need to stay behind closed doors. But I don't know. And also, I don't know if you saw EastEnders yesterday with Jack and Alfie celebrating West Ham's win. But yeah, well, we're going to try and get Uncle Jack on. Actually, I know him quite well, old Marsden. So we're trying to get him on for a chat soon. The police was rubbish. Not enough police. Mo, apparently, they totally underestimated how many people are going to turn up. And so it started like 2 hours early than it was meant to do as well. So all in all, a bit of a, but you don't know, do you? You don't know. I don't see how Crest having would be too expensive. They could earn a few quid. I'd buy a ticket. Well, because it costs something like 300 grand or something like that per game out of our contract. So that's part of the reason. And, I can't see it happening. Just wanted the trophy. It is an added bonus, indeed. But as I said, the final will be in Dublin, and the conference final will be at Athens. You can't rely on the security. We do have Knowlesy instead. No problem at all. I have kids in university and one in vet school. No, once the kiddos are on their own, I'll join. I think it's the role of the club to provide security. The owners should be on the police. Well, it's an outdoor event, so it will be run by the police rather than if it was in the stadium, then it's our own thing, but it's outdoors, so it's run by the police. You don't look old enough for that, Scott. I thought you were about 35. Yeah, me too. Afternoon, Jan. I hope you're well. West Ham are second, only behind in the season's rankings. We are massive, and as I said, we go in as what's it called? Top seeds, which is absolutely crazy. The fans around the vape should get a lifetime ban. Indeed, fall in love with Tilo. Me too. Like I didn't think he was so intertwined with everyone, but he is. And as I said, Chris giving him the mic as well yesterday. I didn't expect him to do that. And actually, funny enough, he's the only person foreign-based player I know ever who can pronounce irons properly rather than come on you eons or come on you irons. He said irons, and everyone irons back. Apparently they didn't close it. Well, apparently, Matt, in terms of the Upton Park bit, they didn't think so many people were going to turn up, in all honesty. And so they then had to quickly close they weren't planning to close the roads until later on when it was due to start, but they had to close it early because fans were just piling in, as you can imagine. Do you remember the last game of the season at the Bowl-in? How mental that was. I live in Essex, so I'm 32 going 45. It's weird being a West Ham fan. Indeed, Essex will do that. Indeed, tell me about it. I'm only 22. What we got here? That fanny through a vape was really the only thing that ruined the win. The fine will get for it. Indeed, I do say, and I held it for a few days. Fab saves that Fiorentina goal. Oh well. All right, so we're looking at a poll. Let's end the poll. So we've got at the moment. So out of that, we had 35% said Aged, 33% other. So yeah, it doesn't really help. 17% Rice. So people were assuming 70% assuming he'll still be our captain next season. Cresswell 13, and I agree with people say I don't think Cresswell will get enough game time to warrant being a captain. For me, it's someone like either Gerd. I wouldn't give it to Paqueta because I think it'd be too much. Zuma would be great if we could get 30 games out of him, but you're not going to get him. And I think it would be a Gerd. I genuinely think it would be a Gerd. You look at the rest of the I don't like forwards. I don't I like centre backs or CDMs or being the captains just because I just always like that. So I think it does sound like it would be by you guys again over 35%. Kent's back, still flying. Gutted, couldn't get back for the parade. Yeah, I think it. I generally think it was a bit of a by all accounts, it was a bit of a rush job in terms of the parade. I think part of the reason was because of hello. I'll be back in a minute when I find out what's happening with my what's happening with my thing. Oh dear, don't worry, I'm gonna. You can still hear me. That's the main thing. Right, let me put that back in. Oh, we might be back in a tick. But yeah, I think with not a Ged. What's his face? You know what I'm talking about. Why is it not showing my camera? Okay. Can I show my horrible camera? My integrated camera? Does that work? I don't know what's happening now. My camera's just completely died. Brilliant, fantastic, excellent. I just broke it. Indeed, I moved one thing and I've broken it. Anywho, I think that was part of the reason why it was done so quickly. Yeah, it would have been nice to maybe have done it over a weekend, maybe, where everyone could have like turned up and had a nice time. Had a nice time, but unfortunately wasn't meant to be. Anyway, peeps, I'm gonna have to go because obviously you can't see me, which is not a bad thing, I suppose, in many respects. But I'm gonna have to go because I've just completely broke myself. Indeed, half a point is number one. Never looked better. Indeed, this never looked better. Right, 4-1 reason of the parade. As the kit is there, focus. It's all about the Champions League. You're totally right, Dan. Same with everything around Talk Sport as well. House very good. It was lovely. Flo, Flo swam with dolphins about a year, which was 2, and we did it again this week, which was for her birthday, which was great. I'd go Fornals if Skipper if he's played more, but I don't think he will. They can. Realistically, does he come? Where is he? You have to, realistically, for my idea, you have to be a starter, and that's why it's one of the centre backs, I think. And you'd pick a Ged. The fact that a Ged can speak half of the dozen languages as well. I mean, Oggy usually can deputise as and Cresswell as the captain, so that's why I think it would make sense to them. What if Rice chooses to stay? What if my friend? What if he chooses to stay? Who knows? Right, I'm going to go, peeps. Loads coming up the rest of the day. Keep an eye out for the channel. As I said, if you're new around here, Russ is massive, so much so that I've just disappeared completely off the screen. If you are new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share. All that good stuff is lovely.